we're seeing the price inching back up. It's like $270
right
right now.
Around there, yep.
That's down from a high, like almost a year and a half ago, of $1,200. But how much is this rise? How much does that have to do with Greece?
Yeah, I think actually, 7 days ago the price was $248, and for the last month the price was between $220 and $250 without moving too much. And now in the last 7 days, because of Greece, it's rise from $248 to $275 at a high this morning.
So, Peter, Bitcoin's pretty volatile anyway. I mean, who's to say this isn't just speculation?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it is speculation, quite honestly. And speculation's a tricky thing. So when you see something in the news like sovereign debt crisis, you start to look at other assets as a way to secure your money. If you're in Greece, you don't have that option because your bank account's locked. You have $60 a day cap. So I don't think we're seeing a lot of capital move into Bitcoin from Greece itself. But I think if you're in a neighboring state, a state that also has a debt problem, say Portugal or Ireland, you're thinking, hey, maybe I should diversify my investment, maybe I should stay away from Treasury or things like that, and I should consider Bitcoin. But that's really a speculative move. That's a thought, okay, this is an option outside of my other investment vehicles. It's not an escape.
Now, most of the exchanges, Bitcoin exchanges, aren't open in Greece, right? So, I mean, how can Greeks actually turn their cash into Bitcoin right now, Sonny?
Yeah, so that's the problem. It's actually very hard for them. In order to do that, they have to get money out of their bank accounts and buy from exchanges outside of Greece and things like that. You can get to it online. The problem is, how do you get money to pay for the Bitcoin, actually? So I think Peter is right. A lot of the money being spent on Bitcoin is from outside Greece,
right.
Neighboring countries or people around the world saying, wow, this is interesting what's happening in Greece. I should have maybe a couple percentage points of my asset class in Bitcoin.
And we're actually seeing the EU, right, buy a lot, the rest of the EU buy a lot more Bitcoin, right, Peter?
Yeah, and, it's also an open question as to whether that's a good sort of store of value. If you're trying to say, I don't want my local currency, I want Bitcoin, it's probably not the best store of value. It's a highly speculative asset. It's kind of like investing in a venture capital arrangement. We were talking earlier about Reddit and how Fred Wilson thinks you could build Reddit on a blockchain. So it's really a question of a technology that you're getting involved with because you think it has a massive upside, but it could potentially have a very large downside in the sense that it disappears. So you really only want a small amount of your portfolio, if you have a portfolio, in such a speculative asset. What it is good for, though, is a rail. It can be a new payment rail for cross-border payments. So you switch into Bitcoin in order to get out of your local currency or whatever you have around you, and then you use that as a way to access online markets in other countries where you would then trade Bitcoin for, say, dollars if you wanted to hold dollars or something like that.
I mean, this is your business, Sonny. I mean, there's talk that Greece could adopt Bitcoin, and if it leaves the euro, how far-fetched is that, though, really?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I think Greece should look at Bitcoin as a way to complement their whatever currency they try to install somehow. It's a way they can work together maybe somehow. I mean, I think Greece is going to go and just adopt Bitcoin as the only single currency. Might be a little hard, especially in the time of need that's happening right now, but I think they could definitely find a way for it to work together with Bitcoin as a currency.
Peter, far-fetched?
Yeah, I think far-fetched. I mean, but that said, in Argentina, we see people who do use Bitcoin as a payment rail to avoid capital controls. So I think you'll see adoption potentially kick up. The question is usability. It's got to be accessible, and it's got to be accessible to the kind of people who are harmed by the kind of activities we're seeing in Greece, by pensioners, by older folks. And right now, that's not the situation on the ground. So we're going to have to see a big change in the applications that people can access in order for it to really catch on. As far as being adopted as a national currency, I think it's going to be hard enough setting up a bootstrap system of IOUs or maybe a new drachma. I don't think you want to add cryptocurrency or cryptography into the mix.
Quick last thought.
Yeah, no, I agree. But Bitcoin has a lot of uses for Greece, but it still has to be made more easier, readily available for people in Greece, like the farmers you talked about, to use it. Right. But again, if I was in Europe or in South America and all that, I would have, a certain amount of my asset class in Bitcoin to prevent against my local currency going up and down so much.